farmers and MPs are split on how Australia should be handling the outbreak of foot and mouth in Indonesia after more fragments were detected in Adelaide. The government has ruled out a border closure despite calls from the opposition. And joining us live now is the Shadow Trade and Tourism Minister, Kevin Hogan. Kevin, good to see you. Thanks for your time this morning. So different Nats are saying different things on the border. Barnaby Joyce yesterday here saying that it should be closed. David Littleproud says not so fast. What's your view? Should it be closed?
Well, I think we should be doing a lot more, Pete. We've been calling for weeks, and you and I, over the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've been saying to you that we should be doing 2 more things immediately. One of those things is compulsory decontamination of all shoes. Now, they're still not doing that. There's not compulsory contamination of all shoes. There are now some foot mats that you walk through. So that needs to be done. And I've also been calling, what I want to see before border closures as an option is I want all people who travel back from Bali or Indonesia, that they have to stay in a capital city for longer, for up to 2 days. The disease has a life cycle, and if we keep them in the cities longer before they go to regional Australia, that lowers the risk as well. But this government, make no mistake, has been very slow with its response to this. This is a great danger. What we saw this week at Adelaide Airport and through some of the food contamination is really dangerous.
So, but just back to that question there, you want the border closed or not?
I want the border closure to be on the table. That Labor is saying it's not even on the table at the moment. I want it on the table. But before that, I want people who are coming back from Bali and Indonesia to spend a compulsory period in capital cities, so they're not going to the country, so they're not exposing our industry.
So when you say on the table, there's a few hoops to jump through before then.
Yeah, I think what we should be saying at the moment in Indonesia and Bali, the outbreak isn't contained. There's, foot and mouth disease are in many countries, but it's contained. So what the things you need to do to contain it are have enough vaccinations, have your herd vaccinated, and do things like that. Right now in Bali, that's not the case. It's growing exponentially. So this is a really vulnerable and dangerous time right now. So this is when you do more, not less.
Yeah, I know. I was going to ask you about that because I was wondering if Indonesia has been unfairly targeted here, given foot and mouth is in other countries such as China, Philippines, Malaysia, etc.
No, it's a new outbreak here, and they haven't contained it yet, and we're helping them, and we should do, I think, much more to try to help them contain it. One of the ways you do that is vaccinate the herd, and you try and catch it and contain it to a certain area. So that's why it's dangerous. And obviously the other reason is, we have so much travel. The biggest travel we have in a tourist destination is Bali. So the risk there is great. So there's a period until we get it contained and help them contain it that it's really dangerous, and that's right now.
Yeah, and just pointing out too, I mean, you're shadow trade, you're also shadow tourism. If you shut the border, that has a serious flow-on effect, doesn't it, for both nations when it comes to trade as well as tourism dollars?
Oh, look, yeah, it affects both. And look, there's not a cattle trader or livestock operator that I'm speaking to all around the country who is not concerned about this. 95% of them say they think the government should be doing more to help us with this, because, as I say, there's a period where it will get safer, but right now it's very unsafe because the outbreak's spreading very quickly and it's not contained. So what we do now is very important. This is when we should be tougher, not easier.
Okay, well, you've been critical of the Ag Minister. Some farming groups have backed Murray Watt, though, and have accused the coalition of stirring up panic and overreacting. Has it been overcooked by some?
Pete, I haven't spoken to a beef cattle producer in this country who thinks we're overcooking this. They are all, in fact, some of them have been calling for the border closure for a long time ago. Look, what I'm saying is that we do the measures that I've spoken about, but there's not a farmer in this country that is not exceptionally worried about this, as they should be.
I'm just curious here. I mean, I know that it's not a live sample that was detected in this meat. And this bloke didn't declare it. This is old news a couple of days ago. My question being, why would passengers even be allowed to bring food in at all during an emergency?
Well, good question. And I think another thing the government could do, I mean, they've done a number of things which have been great as well, but there just needs to be more done while we're so vulnerable to it. And more people at border points, more border checks, declosing, opening people's bags, checking it. I mean, we all know, we've all seen it, on border security or whatever, that, people don't declare everything. And we need to be, because this is such a dangerous outbreak, that we need to have more staff, more resources on the border as well, because people aren't going to declare everything.
And I know that you've talked about the decontamination of shoes. And other people have pointed to, people take several pairs of shoes when they're on holidays. So you've got the shoes that you wear, and there's also shoes in your luggage as well. The mats, the decontamination mats that the government has announced, is that not serious enough?
It's a good step, like obviously the shoes that people have on and they walk through those, excuse the pun, but it decontaminates the shoes they have on. But as you said, I mean, the shoes they wore the day before in Bali, they may have got contaminated. They're in their bag. They're not getting decontaminated. It's just not enough. I mean, this, as I repeat, this is the really dangerous part of this until we get it contained and the Indonesians get it contained. So this is when you do more, not less.
Do you feel like they're making at least headway? They're in terms of the Indonesian side of things? It's probably not a question for you, but do you feel like they're at least turning it around in some way, the Indonesians, or is it out of control?
Look, the Indonesians are doing what they can. We are assisting with that, as we should. This is the outbreak, as we know, has just really occurred there, especially around the Bali region. So, they need a bit of time to get it contained. That's how it will work. That's how it always works when you get an outbreak. So, look, they're getting their vaccinations numbers up. They're trying to vaccinate the herd. They're trying to do other things. But this will take them time to do that. We will help them do that. So while we're doing that, while we are getting to the place where it's contained, that is when you do more at a border, not less, because that's when we're most exposed. And
it was interesting too that, I heard this on the radio this morning. It was spoken of. Indonesia it's a unique kind of place where you have resorts that are attended by tourists, but agricultural sectors and agricultural land is in some cases just across the road. So the two kind of intertwine, which is why it can be so simple for people to pick it up.
Yeah, look, you don't, when you're in Bali, have to go to a farm to get exposed, or Indonesia to get exposed. That's the problem. They have religious things about this as well. I mean, their cattle are very domesticated, and you can be exposed, walk down the street, walk through some, cow excrement, and you're infected. So, that's the danger.
All right, Kevin, good to chat as always. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.